The sky turned purple as the three suns began to set on planet Veros. Deep in the ancient ruins, Commander Tay wiped sweat from his brow. After 30 years exploring space, he thought he had seen everything. He was wrong. "Sir, you need to see this." June's voice crackled through Tay's earpiece. June was the team's technology expert, young but brilliant. Tay made his way through the crumbling stone passages. The ruins were at least 10,000 years old, left by a people no one remembered. His boots crunched on loose pebbles as he walked. 20 other explorers from 15 different planets worked at the site, all under his command. "What have you found?" Tay asked as he entered a large chamber. The team had removed layers of dirt and rock to reveal a smooth metal floor, something that should not exist in ruins this old. June pointed to a circle in the center of the floor. "We detected energy coming from below, very faint, but definitely there." Tay nodded. "Open it." It took 4 hours for the team to find the hidden mechanism. When they finally activated it, the floor split open with a hiss of ancient air. Lights, dim but still working after thousands of years, flickered on inside. The chamber below. "Impossible," whispered Bach, the team's historian. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly in surprise. Technology this old shouldn't still function. Tay led the way down the narrow stairs. The air smelled stale but breathable. At the bottom, they found a single pedestal in the center of a round room. On it rested what looked like a suit of armor. The armor was human-shaped but slightly larger than an average person. Its surface was dark, almost black, with thin blue lines running across it like veins. It seemed to be made of metal, but not any metal they knew. There were no visible joints or seams. The armor looked like it had been poured into its shape rather than built. "Begin scans," Tay ordered. The team worked quickly, setting up their equipment around the armor. June's fingers moved fast across his portable computer. "Commander, this doesn't make sense," he said after a few minutes. "According to our readings, this thing is giving off energy. It's alive somehow." "Alive?" Tay moved closer to the armor. "You mean it has a power source still running?" "More than that." June showed him the screen. "It's running some kind of program. The energy patterns suggest it's waiting." "Waiting for what?" Tay asked. "I don't know." June looked troubled. "But nothing this old should be active. The power source alone would be the most advanced we've ever seen." Tay studied the armor. Something about it made him uneasy. In his long career, he had found many strange things, but nothing that felt so intentional, as if it had been left here specifically to be found. "Let's try to communicate with it," he decided. June nodded and took out a universal interface device. It could connect to almost any technology. He carefully placed it against the armor's chest. The reaction was immediate and violent. A pulse of blue energy threw June backward. He hit the wall hard and slid to the floor. 2 team members rushed to help him. "I'm okay," June gasped, though his face had turned pale. "It rejected the connection, strongly." Tay frowned. "Has that ever happened before?" "Never." June stood up shakily. "The interface works with every known technology in the galaxy." Tay turned to Bach. "Any record of armor like this in your historical database?" The 4-eyed historian shook his head. "Nothing similar. The design doesn't match any known civilization." "Let me try," said Rin, the team's biology specialist. Her species was known for their natural ability to interface with machines. She approached the armor cautiously and extended her hand. Another flash of blue energy sent her sprawling across the floor. One by one, each team member attempted to make contact with the armor. Each was rejected, some more violently than others. The armor seemed to be actively refusing them. "It's defending itself," Tay muttered. "But why? And against what?" He ordered the team to prepare the armor for transport. Special containers were brought in, designed to hold unknown artifacts safely. But when 4 team members tried to lift the armor, they couldn't budge it. The armor seemed to have anchored itself to the pedestal. "More strange behavior," June said, scanning it again. "It's actively resisting removal." Tay thought for a moment. "Let me try something." He approached the armor slowly. Instead of touching it directly, he spoke to it. "We mean no harm. We are explorers seeking knowledge. We wish to learn about you and those who made you." For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, the blue lines on the armor glowed brighter. The team watched in amazement as the armor seemed to lift itself slightly off the pedestal. It understood. "You," June whispered. "Maybe not my words," Tay replied, "but perhaps my intent." With great care, they managed to move the armor into a containment unit. It no longer resisted, though it still rejected any attempt to interface with it directly. "What do you think it is, Commander?" asked June as they sealed the unit. Tay looked at the armor through the clear walls of the container. "Something important, something left here deliberately, but left by whom and why? That's what we need to find out." Tay activated his communication device. "This is Commander Tay. We're returning to the ship with a Class 1 artifact. Prepare for immediate departure to Nexus Prime." As the team packed up their equipment, Tay couldn't shake the feeling that they had found something more significant than any previous discovery. The armor wasn't just old technology. It was waiting for something. Or someone. Back on their ship, the armor was placed in the secure research lab. Tay stood watching it through the observation window as the ship lifted off from Veros. "Set course for Nexus Prime," he ordered. "And contact Director Mina at the Galactic Research Institute. Tell her we're bringing something she needs to see." As the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, the blue lines on the armor pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. Whatever secrets it held, Tay was determined to uncover them, but he couldn't ignore the warning in his gut, that some secrets might be better left buried. The armor had chosen to come with them. Tay wondered if that had been a mistake. In the darkness of the ship's night cycle, when most of the crew was asleep, the armor's blue lines pulsed in a pattern. If anyone had been watching, they might have recognized it. A map of stars with one particular star highlighted, a small, yellow star in a spiral arm of a galaxy called the Milky Way. The armor continued its silent vigil, waiting for what it had been programmed to find thousands of years ago, waiting for a human. Director Mina stood with her arms crossed, watching the strange armor through the thick glass wall of the testing chamber. After 3 months of study, the armor remained as mysterious as the day Commander Tay had brought it to Nexus Prime. "Try the neural link again," she ordered. On the other side of the glass, Professor Dell adjusted the settings on a complex machine. He was the 7th expert Mina had called in. Like the others, he believed he would succeed where others had failed. "Neural pattern modified as you suggested, Director," Dal said. His long fingers moved quickly over the controls. "Initiating contact in 3, 2, 1. A thin beam of light shot from the machine to the armor. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like every time before, the armor's blue lines flashed brightly and the beam was pushed back. The machine sparked and shut down. "Another failure," Mina said, writing notes on her tablet. "The armor rejects all forms of contact." Dal frowned, his wrinkled face showing frustration. "This makes no sense. The neural pattern should have been compatible." 17 different species had tried to connect with the armor since its arrival. Scientists, warriors, even children. The armor rejected them all. Some approaches triggered violent responses, others just quiet refusal. "What have we learned so far?" Mina asked, turning to Jin, her young assistant. Jin checked her datapad. "The armor is approximately 12,000 years old, based on decay rates of surrounding materials from the dig site. The metal is unknown, harder than anything in our database. It cannot be cut, scanned internally, or damaged in any way we've tried. And the energy source? Still active and showing no signs of depletion. It appears to be drawing power from somewhere else. We can't identify how." Mina nodded. The more they learned about the armor, the more impossible it seemed. "There's something else," Jin added. "I've been studying the rejection patterns. The armor isn't just saying no, it's searching." "Searching?" Mina looked interested. "For what?" "I believe it's running some kind of matching algorithm. When we introduce genetic material or neural patterns, it processes them before rejecting them." So it's looking for a specific match, Mina said slowly. Exactly. But not one from any known species in the galaxy, at least not the ones in our database. Mina walked closer to the glass. The armor sat silently on its pedestal, its dark surface reflecting the room's lights. Those blue lines, like veins or circuits, pulsed occasionally. Expand the search, she decided. I want genetic samples from every cataloged species sent here. That's over 4,000 species, Jin said, eyes wide. Then we better start now. Weeks passed. Genetic samples arrived from across the galaxy. Each was carefully presented to the armor. Each was rejected. The armor became famous. Scientists and leaders from many worlds came to see it. Some offered huge amounts of money to take it back to their planets. Mina refused them all. The Quasar warriors are here, Jin announced. One morning, looking excited, Mina had been waiting for this. The Quasar warriors were legendary for their ability to bond with ancient technology. If anyone could activate the armor, it would be them. The three warriors entered the lab. They were tall, with golden skin and eyes that shifted colors like moving water. They carried no weapons. Their bodies were weapons enough. We thank you for the invitation, Director Mina, said the lead warrior, named Sar. We have heard much about this armor. Can you bond with it? Mina asked directly. Sar smiled. We have never failed before. The warriors entered the testing chamber. They approached the armor with confidence, standing around it in a triangle. They began to hum, a sound that made the air vibrate. Their eyes glowed brighter as they reached toward the armor. The blue lines on the armor flashed once, twice, and then went dark. The warriors stopped humming. They looked at each other in confusion. It's blocking us, Sar said, sounding shocked. It has shut down completely rather than accept our bond. The armor had never done this before. It had rejected contact, yes, but never shut down entirely. What does this mean? Mina asked when the warriors returned. It means this armor is unique, Sar replied. It was created for a specific purpose, for a specific wearer. It will accept no substitutes. After the warriors left, disappointment filled the lab. Some researchers suggested giving up. Maybe the armor was never meant to be worn. Perhaps it was just an art piece or religious symbol. I don't believe that, Jin said as she and Mina worked late one night. Something this advanced wasn't built just to look pretty. She was running a new kind of test. Instead of trying to make the armor accept them, she was studying what happened during rejection. Look at this, she said suddenly, pointing to her screen. Every time we introduce a new genetic sample, the armor runs through exactly the same sequence before rejecting it. Mina looked at the complex patterns on the screen. What does that tell us? It's comparing each sample to a stored template. Jin's eyes were bright with excitement. It's looking for something very specific. But what? We've tried everything. Not everything, Jin said. We've tried every known species in the galactic database, but the galaxy is vast. There must be countless species we haven't discovered yet. Mina considered this. You think the armor was made for a species that either doesn't exist anymore or that we haven't met? Exactly. And I think I can find out what that species looks like. Jin worked through the night. By morning, she had created a model based on the armor's rejection data. The armor is looking for a species with this genetic structure, she explained, showing Mina a complex diagram. Bipedal carbon-based with this specific neural pattern. Nothing in our database matches. Mina studied the diagram. Add this to the galactic search network. If such a species exists somewhere, we need to find them. News of the mysterious armor spread across the galaxy. Many believed it contained powerful technology or ancient wisdom. Others feared it might be dangerous. Everyone wondered what kind of being it was made for. At the Galactic Research Institute, the armor became known as the Reject. Day after day, it sat silently, waiting for something no one could provide. Then, 6 months after the armor's arrival on Nexus Prime, a diplomatic ship from a previously unknown world requested permission to dock. The world was small, blue-green, and located in a quiet part of the Milky Way galaxy. The inhabitants called their planet Earth. Jin was monitoring the armor when the diplomatic ship entered orbit around Nexus Prime. Without warning, the blue lines on the armor suddenly glowed, brighter than ever before. A soft humming filled the lab. "Director Mina," Jin called, her voice shaking with excitement. "The armor, it's responding to something." Mina rushed to the lab. She stared in disbelief at the readings on Jin's screen. "What changed? What triggered this?" "I don't know," Jin said. "The only new factor is the arrival of that diplomatic ship from Earth." Mina's eyes widened. "Check the genetic profile of these Earth beings against your model." Jin worked quickly, accessing the preliminary data sent ahead by the diplomatic ship. As the information appeared on her screen, she gasped. "It's a match," she whispered. "The humans from Earth, they're what the armor has been waiting for." Hyun stood quietly behind the Earth diplomats as they walked through the grand halls of the Galactic Research Institute. Unlike his excited colleagues who kept pointing and whispering at every alien they saw, Hyun maintained a professional calm. As head of security for the diplomatic team, his job was to watch for threats, not to gawk at the wonders of space. Still, it was hard not to be impressed. Just 3 months ago, he had been working security in Seoul. Now he was on a space station, in another part of the galaxy, surrounded by beings from 1,000 different worlds. "And here we have our artifacts wing," said their guide, a tall blue-skinned woman named Lena. "Many important discoveries from across the galaxy are studied here." The Earth diplomats nodded politely. They had seen many impressive things during their tour, but most of them were thinking about the trade agreements they had come to discuss. Humanity was new to the galactic community, and these first agreements would shape Earth's future. As they moved through the artifacts wing, Hyun noticed something strange. A group of researchers were crowded around a monitor looking excited. One of them kept glancing at the Earth group, then back at the screen. Hyun moved closer to the diplomats. Something didn't feel right. "Our final exhibit is just ahead," Lena said. "It's become quite famous, though our scientists haven't made much progress with it." She led them into a large circular room. In the center, on a raised platform, sat what looked like a suit of armor. It was dark with blue lines running across its surface. Around the platform, various machines and computers were set up, monitored by researchers in white lab coats. "This artifact was discovered 6 months ago," Lena explained. "We call it the Reject because it has refused to interact with any species we've presented it to." The diplomats nodded politely, but they weren't very interested. An ancient piece of armor wasn't as exciting as the living aliens all around them. Hyun, however, felt drawn to the armor. Something about it seemed to pull at him. He took a step closer, then another. One of the researchers gasped and pointed at a screen. "Director, look at the readings." A woman with short gray hair, Director Mina, according to the name on her coat, rushed over to look at the screen. Her eyes widened. "It's happening again," she said, "just like when their ship arrived." She looked up and saw Hyun standing near the edge of the platform. "You," she said, pointing at him. "Would you be willing to come closer to the artifact?" The lead diplomat, Ambassador Park, frowned. "Is there a problem with my security officer?" "No problem at all," Director Mina said quickly. "But I believe your officer might be able to help us with a scientific question." Ambassador Park looked uncertain. "Hyun, what do you think?" Hyun studied the armor. The strange pulling feeling was stronger now. It didn't feel dangerous, just curious, like the armor was asking a question he couldn't quite hear. "I don't mind," he said. Director Mina nodded. "Please step onto the platform. Don't touch the armor yet. Just get closer to it." Hyun stepped onto the platform. Immediately, the blue lines on the armor glowed brighter. A soft humming filled the room. "Incredible," whispered a young researcher nearby. "The energy readings are off the charts." Director Mina approached Hyun. "I'm sorry for the strange request, but your presence is causing a reaction we've never seen before. This armor has rejected contact with every species in the galaxy, but it seems very interested in you." "In me?" Hyun looked at the armor again. "Or in humans generally?" "We're not sure yet." Mina gestured to the other researchers. Would you mind if we ran some scans? Nothing invasive, just to measure your biological signals compared to the armor's reactions. Ambassador Park stepped forward. Director, I must insist on knowing exactly what's happening here. Is my security officer in any danger? No danger that we can detect, Mina assured him. But we may be witnessing a historic moment. This artifact has been completely inert for months despite our best efforts to activate it. Now it's responding to your officer's presence. The ambassador looked at Hyun. It's your decision. Hyun nodded. He was curious now. I'll help with your tests. For the next hour, the researchers ran various scans on Hyun. They took samples of his hair and skin cells. They recorded his brainwaves. Through it all, the armor continued to hum and glow whenever he was near. The match is undeniable, said the young researcher, Jin. Hyun had learned her name was. Human DNA matches the template the armor has been searching for. But there's something more specific about Officer Hyun that seems particularly compatible. What would happen if I touched it? Hyun asked. The room went quiet. We don't know, Director Mina admitted. Every other species that has touched it has been pushed away, sometimes violently. But you don't think that will happen to me? Based on these readings, no, but we can't be certain. Hyun looked at the armor. The pulling feeling was very strong now, like the armor was calling to him. I want to try, he said. Hyun, I don't think... Ambassador Park began. With respect, sir, I believe it's safe. Hyun turned to Director Mina. If this armor was made, for humans, there must be a reason. Don't you want to find out what it is? Mina hesitated, then nodded. If you're willing, we would be grateful. But at the first sign of danger, please pull away. Hyun stepped closer to the armor. The blue lines pulsed faster now, almost like a heartbeat. He could feel his own heart beating in time with the pulses. Slowly, he reached out his hand. The room held its breath. His fingers touched the smooth surface of the armor's chest. Instead of pushing him away, the armor seemed to welcome his touch. The blue lines flowed toward his hand like water. The humming grew louder, but it was a pleasant sound now, almost like music. Then, to everyone's amazement, the armor began to open. Plates shifted and moved aside, revealing a hollow space inside, perfectly shaped for a human body. It's opening, Jin whispered. It's never done that before. Hyun stared at the open armor. He could see more blue lines inside, glowing softly. It looked like the inside of a high-tech cockpit. It wants me to get in, he said, not knowing how he knew this, but certain it was true. Director Mina stepped forward. This is unprecedented. Perhaps we should run more tests before... But Hyun wasn't listening. The armor was speaking to him somehow, not with words, but with feelings and images. It was showing him how to step inside, how to let it close around him, before anyone could stop him. He stepped forward and turned around. He backed into the open armor, fitting his arms and legs into the spaces that seemed made just for him. The armor closed around him with a soft hiss. For a moment, there was silence. Then the armor's blue lines blazed with brilliant light, and Hyun felt a rush of information flooding into his mind. The first contact between a human and the ancient technology that had been waiting for thousands of years. The armor had found what it was looking for. The room erupted in panic when the armor closed around Hyun. Diplomats shouted. Researchers rushed to their instruments. Guards reached for their weapons. Stop! Director Mina's voice cut through the chaos. Everyone stay calm. Look at the readings. On the screens around the room, data flowed in streams of light. The armor's energy levels were high but stable. There were no signs of danger. Hyun! Ambassador Park called out. Can you hear us? Are you all right? Inside the armor, Hyun floated in a sea of blue light. He could hear the voices outside, but they seemed far away. Much closer were other voices. Or not voices exactly, but knowledge pouring directly into his mind. He saw stars and planets. He saw strange beings with technology beyond anything humans had imagined. He saw terrible dangers and desperate hopes. I can hear you, Hyun said, surprised to find he could speak. His voice sounded normal, though he was completely enclosed in the armor. "What's happening?" Director Mina asked. "What are you experiencing?" "Information," Hyun said slowly, trying to make sense of the flood in his mind. "So much information. This armor, it's telling me its story." The researchers looked at each other in amazement. Jin's fingers flew over her keyboard, recording everything. "Can you move?" Mina asked. Hyun tried to lift his arm. The armor moved with him perfectly, as if it were a part of his own body. There was no delay, no resistance. It felt lighter than his normal clothes despite being made of metal. "Yes," he said. "It's easy, like the armor is helping me move." He took a step forward, then another. The movement was smooth and natural. He felt stronger, more balanced. "The armor was made by beings called the Precursors," Hyun said, sharing what he was learning. "They existed millions of years ago. They traveled between galaxies, studying life everywhere they went." "The Precursors?" Jin gasped. "We've found mentions of them in ruins across the galaxy, but never any of their technology." Hyun nodded, though he wasn't sure if they could see, the gesture through the armor. "They found Earth about 50,000 years ago. Humans were still primitive then, but the Precursors saw something in us that fascinated them." "What did they see?" Mina asked. "Our adaptability, our creativity. The way our minds work. We solve problems differently than other species, and something in our genetic code that made us compatible with their technology in ways other species weren't." More information flowed into Hyun's mind. He saw the Precursors facing a terrible enemy, something vast and dark that consumed entire star systems. He saw them fighting, losing, retreating across the universe. "They were dying out," he continued, "fighting some kind of cosmic threat. They created these armors as weapons, their best technology, but they knew they wouldn't survive to use them. So they designed them for humans," Jin said in wonder. "A species they'd only seen in its primitive state." "Yes, they scattered the armors across the universe, leaving them to be found when humans finally reached the stars." Hyun paused. "This is just one of many." Ambassador Park stepped forward. "Are you saying there are more of these armors out there?" "Yes, many more, waiting for human pilots." The implications of this revelation stunned everyone in the room. If humans could use technology that the most advanced species in the galaxy couldn't access, it changed everything about Earth's place in the galactic community. "What capabilities does the armor have?" Director Mina asked, her scientific curiosity taking over. Hyun listened to the knowledge flowing from the armor. "It enhances strength and speed. It can protect against almost any known weapon. It can..." He paused, shocked by what he was learning. "It can manipulate gravity fields, generate energy shields, interface with other technology through thought alone." The researchers exchanged looks of astonishment. Such capabilities were far beyond current galactic technology. "And it's adapting to me specifically," Hyun added, "changing itself to work better with my body and mind." "May I scan the armor while you're wearing it?" Jin asked, approaching cautiously. "Yes, but be careful. It's protective." Jin ran her scanner over the armor, keeping a respectful distance. "This is amazing," she said, looking at the results. "The armor is reshaping its internal structure to match your nervous system. It's building a direct neural interface customized just for you." Hyun felt it happening, the armor merging more deeply with his body and mind. It wasn't painful or frightening. It felt right, as if he had found something he never knew he was missing. "Can you remove it?" Ambassador Park asked, concerned. Hyun thought about taking off the armor. Immediately he felt how to do it, just a simple mental command. But he hesitated. "I can," he said. "But I'd like to keep it on a little longer. There's still so much to learn." The ambassador looked worried but nodded. "Very well, but we should discuss the implications of this discovery before proceeding further." Director Mina agreed. "This changes everything we thought we knew about human potential in the galactic community. If humans can use precursor technology when no other species can..." She didn't need to finish. Everyone understood what this meant. Humanity had just become far more important in galactic affairs than anyone had expected. "There's something else," Hyun said, his voice growing serious. The precursors built these armors as weapons against a specific threat. They believed this threat would return someday. What kind of threat? Mina asked. The armor doesn't contain complete information, Hyun admitted. Just warnings. Something that exists between galaxies. Something that consumes energy. Stars, planets, life itself. The precursors called it the Void. A chill fell over the room. Did the precursors defeat this threat? Ambassador Park asked. No. They only managed to drive it back, at the cost of their own civilization. They believed it would return eventually. That's why they left the armors, to give the younger races a fighting chance when that day came. The implications were enormous. Humanity had stumbled onto an ancient war and found themselves unexpectedly equipped to fight in it. As the diplomats and scientists discussed what to do next, Hyun continued exploring the connection with the armor. It was teaching him how to use its abilities, how to strengthen the energy shields, how to move faster than should be possible, how to interface with other technology. It felt like waking up to possibilities he never knew existed. The armor wasn't controlling him. It was enhancing him, making him more than he had been before. We should contact Earth, Ambassador Park was saying. We need to find more people who can bond with these armors, if more are discovered. And we need to keep this quiet for now, Director Mina added, until we understand the full implications. But it was already too late for secrecy. News of the human who had activated the legendary armor was spreading rapidly through Nexus Prime, and from there to the rest of the galaxy. Powers both peaceful and dangerous were about to take a much greater interest in humanity. And in Hyun, the first human to wear a precursor armor in the long history of the galaxy. 3 days after Hyun bonded with the armor, trouble arrived at Nexus Prime. The first warning came from the station's outer sensors. A ship had appeared suddenly, bypassing the normal approach lanes. It didn't respond to communication attempts. Unknown, vessel approaching, announced the station's security system. All personnel to alert status. In the special quarters assigned to the Earth delegation, Hyun was practicing with the armor. He could now put it on and remove it easily with just a thought. Each time he wore it, the connection grew stronger. Ambassador Park rushed into the room. Hyun, there's a security alert. The station might be in danger. Before Hyun could respond, Director Mina called on the communication screen. Her face looked worried. We have a situation, she said. A Vex Dominion warship has bypassed our security. They're demanding access to... She paused. They're demanding access to the human who activated the precursor armor. Hyun felt a chill. The armor had shared knowledge about the Vex Dominion, a powerful and ruthless group that conquered weaker planets. They were feared throughout the galaxy. What do they want with me? Hyun asked, though he already knew the answer. They want the armor, Ambassador Park said grimly, and they probably want to study you to see why you can use it. Hyun closed his eyes. The armor showed him images of what the Vex had done to other worlds, the destruction, the slavery. If they gained access to precursor technology, they would become unstoppable. We've denied their request, Mina continued, but they're threatening to use force our defenses might not hold against their weapons. How did they even know about the armor so quickly? Park wondered. Information spreads, fast, Mina said, and something this important, spies are everywhere. Hyun made his decision. I need to help defend the station. Park shook his head. No. Your job is to protect our delegation. We should prepare to evacuate. With respect, Ambassador, if the Vex get this armor, nowhere will be safe. Not even Earth. The armor showed me what they're capable of. Mina looked at him through the screen. The armor's capabilities are still largely unknown. We can't ask you to risk yourself. You're not asking, Hyun said. He stood straighter. This is my choice. With a thought, he activated the armor. It flowed over his body smoothly now, the blue lines glowing bright and steady. It felt like a second skin. The armor was made to protect life against threats, Hyun said, his voice slightly deeper through the armor's systems. That's what I'm going to do. On the main command deck of Nexus Prime, chaos reigned. The Vex ship had launched smaller attack vessels that were attempting to breach the station's outer hull. Sectors 7 and 12 report intruders, called out a security officer. They've bypassed the airlock somehow. Commander Tay, who had returned to Nexus Prime after hearing about the armor's activation, looked grimly at the tactical displays. Focus. Our security team's on protecting the civilian areas. We can't let them reach the central sectors. The doors to the command deck slid open. Everyone turned to see a figure unlike anything they'd seen before. The precursor armor gleamed in the lights of the command deck, its blue lines pulsing with power. Inside it, Hyun felt calm and focused. "I want to help," he said simply. "Commander." Tay stared at him, then nodded. "We need it. The Vex are heading for Research Lab 3, where the armor was studied. They don't know you have it already." "I can intercept them," Hyun said. The armor was showing him the fastest route through the station, calculating distances and movement speeds instantly. "Be careful," Tay warned. "The Vex are dangerous even without considering their weapons." Hyun nodded and turned to leave. As he reached the door, Tay called after him. "We've always wondered what the precursors saw in humans," he said. "Perhaps today we'll find out." Moving through the station in the armor was like nothing Hyun had ever experienced. He ran faster than should be possible, jumped farther, reacted to obstacles before he consciously saw them. The armor enhanced everything: strength, speed, senses. He reached Sector 9 just as a group of Vex soldiers broke through an internal door. They were tall, heavily armored figures with 4 arms, each holding a different weapon. Their helmets had no visible eyes, just smooth metal with glowing red lines. The Vex spotted Hyun. For a moment, they froze in surprise. Then all weapons turned toward him. "Human," said the lead Vex, its voice metallic and cold. "Surrender the precursor armor immediately. The Dominion claims this technology." Hyun didn't respond with words. The armor was already showing him what to do. He raised his hand and a shield of blue energy formed in front of him. The Vex opened fire. Energy weapons, projectiles, even some kind of sound-based attack, all hit the shield and dissipated harmlessly. "Impossible," the Vex leader growled. "No shield technology can block all weapon types simultaneously." But the precursor armor could. Hyun moved forward, maintaining the shield. The armor guided his movements, helping him use abilities he hadn't known he possessed. When he reached the Vex soldiers, the real fight began. The armor made Hyun faster than the 4 armed warriors. He moved between them, disabling their weapons with precise strikes. The armor seemed to know exactly where to hit for maximum effect. More Vex joined the fight. Hyun adapted, using more of the armor's abilities. He created gravity distortions that slowed the Vex movements. He generated energy pulses that disabled their weapons without harming them. He didn't want to kill, just to protect. Throughout the station, similar scenes played out. Security teams fought bravely against the invaders, but were often outmatched. Then Hyun would arrive, turning the tide of battle with abilities that seemed like magic even in this advanced age. The armor's systems interfaced with the station's communications, allowing Hyun to coordinate with security teams. He moved from sector to sector, neutralizing threats, evacuating civilians, and gradually pushing the Vex back toward their entry points. After 2 hours of fighting, the commander of the Vex forces requested communication. On the main screen of the command deck, the Vex commander's helmeted face appeared. "This attack was a test," it said coldly. "We have confirmed that humans can use precursor technology. This information is valuable." "Leave this station," Commander Tay demanded. "You have been defeated." "For now," the Vex commander agreed. "But know this. The human with the armor is now marked. The Dominion will be watching. There are more precursor artifacts to be found, and we will find them." The screen went dark. Minutes later, the Vex ships disengaged and jumped away into deep space. In the aftermath, Hyun stood in Director Mina's office with Ambassador Park, Commander Tay, and Jin. The armor was still on, but the helmet had retracted, showing his face. "You saved many lives today," Mina said. "But the Vex will return. And they won't be the only ones interested in what humans can do with precursor technology. What happens now? Hyun asked. Ambassador Park looked thoughtful. We need to contact Earth immediately. If more of these armors exist, we need to find them before others do. And we need to find humans who can use them, Commander Tae added. Special individuals like Hyun. Jin, who had been analyzing data from the battle, looked up from her screen. According to these readings, the armor performed at only about 30% of its theoretical capacity today. As the bond strengthens, its abilities will increase. Hyun looked down at his armored hands. The blue lines pulsed in time with his heartbeat. The precursors left these armors as a gift, he said quietly. A way for younger races to protect themselves against threats they foresaw. We need to use that gift wisely. Outside the windows of the office, the stars shone brightly against the darkness of space. Somewhere out there were more armors waiting to be found. Somewhere out there, perhaps, was the ancient enemy the precursors had fought, the void, waiting to return. And on a small blue planet called Earth, humans were just beginning to discover their unexpected role in the galaxy's future. The armor that rejected every alien until it found a human had changed everything.